What's good, people? It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle again. Uh Not a great week for sports as I do my mid Cowboy week. I almost didn't do one this week due to the things that took place and the events that took place on Monday night. I almost didn't do one, but I think it deserved to be talked about. And Uncle Fred got a perspective too. We're gonna talk about Demar Hamlin and the game on Monday night and my perspective and my thoughts on where I was and what was my perspective on it, and then talk a little bit about that, and then we're gonna reflect on some of the things that brought to mind when I saw that, in my history of looking at watching sports and being a critic of sports and things of that nature. I'll tell you some things I've seen, um, and then, maybe how the NFL handled the thing. We understand that they had a plan in place to do a certain thing, but then, you make plans in advance and then you pivot when things change. And so we're going to talk about that because NFL kind of getting a little criticism on some of that. And I'm just going to tell you what I think and that sort of thing. And then, of course, now, what does the NFL do now as a result of that game? I know nobody wants to talk about that. We want to talk about the health of that young, and you should. But the games always have and do continue to go on. And so what does it do now as a result of that in the terms of, what goes on? And then we're going to talk about, we will talk a little Cowboys. We'll talk a little bit about Cowboys, what the game this week meant, how the league tried to maneuver the thing so that the games matter and so the guys wouldn't trick and try to not play their guys. And what are our chances of getting the top seed and whatnot, and that sort of thing. So we're gonna talk about that and a few other things, man. But in just a minute, so let's go.
Two times on the beat, bitch.
What's good, people? It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle one more again. Contact, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. So you see on the moniker on the right, we're going to talk NFL. So we're going to talk about Monday night, man. Probably, in my opinion, the most anticipated Monday night game of the year because of how the season had unfolded. Um, you know, you got 11-4 Cincinnati against 12-3 Buffalo. And you got 23 wins between the two teams. That's kind of it's a big thing, and major implications was to be settled by the conclusion of this game. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, man, I'm watching this one because I wasn't working. I work nights. I wasn't working that night because we got that day off for New Year's Monday night. So I'm sitting back. I'm gonna watch. Normally I'll be watching while I'm at work and kind of slipping and watching while I'm doing my tasks at work. But man, I got a chance to sit back and enjoy this football game. So the game goes on. Cincinnati scores on the first drive. Go right down the field. Bam, bam, bam. Touchdown. Buffalo comes right back. Drive stalls. They get a field goal. And then Cincinnati gets the ball back. They get a couple of first downs with 5:88 to go. Uh, Not 5:88, but 5:58. Yeah, 2 minutes, right at under 6 minutes during the first quarter. Joe Burrow hits T. Higgins on a 13-yard crossing route, and then he's tackled. Routine play. Tackle made by Demar Hamlin. Wasn't a hard hitter, just a routine tackle, pulled him down. Both guys get up, and then you see Hamlin take a step, kind of wobble, and then he goes down. Now, at first, I'm gonna be honest. Don't y'all judge me. I thought they was faking. I was like, man, Cincinnati running that no huddle, and a lot of times defensive guys will do that. They'll act like they're hurt in order that for them to get an opportunity to substitute and slow the pace of the game down. But you kept watching, dude wasn't moving. Usually they'll fall down and they'll grab their arm, my shoulder, or my hip, or my hamstring, my knee, my foot, something, or I'm cramping, whatever, something like that. Dude, what moving? I'm like, okay, all right. And so a lot of big pregnant pause by the commentators and stuff, and they go to a commercial break. Come back in a couple of minutes. They still standing around, and the commentators making up all this stuff that they can say because it's air that they got to fill. Usually, the air is filled with they're talking about the game. They got stuff to talk about, like if the game becomes unwatchable, like if it's a blowout, they got stuff to talk about for that, right? So they say all the different things, man. The guy does this, and they talked about him and all that kind of stuff, and then they say, okay, well, we're gonna go to another break. So they went to another break. So it's another commercial. When they come back, I'm expecting when I come back, they're gonna be taking him off the field, and everybody's clapping. And come back, and it's the same thing. So we about 15, 20 minutes into this thing now, and I'm like, this dude ain't. But then now you start to see the guys start to have a certain. When I say guys, the players start to have a certain thing about them. Their emotions are changing. I'm reading their body language. And for the first few minutes, they're kind of milling around, they're talking to each other. As the time goes on, you see concern on their faces. You can kind of see a little tenseness. And then you start seeing they go to another commercial, they come back, you see a line of Buffalo Bills surrounding this guy. And then you start looking at stuff. You say, oh, this is not good. This guy been on the field like half an hour now, and then you start to see the ambulance comes on the field. And then they go to the front, and Booger McFarland and Susie Colbert are talking, and then they're kind of Booger McFarland wouldn't talk. He was just kind of he a player, so he knows this. It hit different to a player than it do like the commentators who hadn't played. Now, Troy Aikman didn't hardly say nothing either, And then you start hearing them talk about CPR, and you start thinking, oh my gosh, did he pass out? Because you didn't see a head hit or nothing like that. So you start thinking other things. You start to think real health trauma here, And they start talking about defibrillators, and I start hearing them talking about that sort of stuff. And then, and then they go back to the thing, and the guy said, well, I'm hearing that they're going to do this, and they're going to talk about a 5-minute warm-up. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you see Joe Burrow throwing the ball around and stuff like that. But then as the thing goes on, and you start hearing that there's a kind of a hush over the field, right? And I'm sitting there like, man, is this dude? Is he like? Because you would have thought you would have seen him move him or something by now. Because it's you talking 35, 40 minutes by now. You know what I'm saying? And a thought came to my mind is like, is this dude dying on the field? Is this dude? I mean, you hate to think that, but you've never seen a guy that long. Even guys that, whatever, paralyzed. We'll talk about a couple of guys that happened to too. You didn't see them be on the field that long. I mean, it's going on 45 minutes. It's a long time, right? And I took the opportunity because I know they had told me the guy's name, and I was like, let me look him up and see what his what's the deal is with him in terms of like where he came from and that sort of thing. And I was wondering, I said, because I had never really heard of the guy. I fooled around and looked up Wikipedia, and no BS. Wikipedia stated that he had died 1/2/2023. Born in 1998, I think, and died 1/2/90 2023. Wikipedia had that he had died. I sent it to a friend. I said, "Oh my gosh, this guy's in Paris." I'm sitting there like, "Oh my gosh." All these days, I'm like, I'm sitting here and witnessed a guy die on the field. Okay. Next thing you know, they start taking him away, and there's types of things, and then you see guys like Josh Allen. He's like this, and he's obviously crying. He's despondent. You see all this stuff, and you're like, man. But then you hear they got rushed to Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati Medical Center, and they got a heartbeat, and but he never gained consciousness. Okay, so he took him on. And so you start seeing here, and you start talking about, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to play the game? But you start looking at the guys. You start looking at Diggs. You start looking at Poyer. You start looking at Josh Allen, the guy. You looking at T. Higgins and the Cincinnati player. Those guys are a wreck. You hear me? They were a wreck. So they were talking about, they go, and then they finally came to their senses and said that no, we're gonna go ahead and suspend this game. This game is gonna get done because you have to factor in them guys. You actually saw a dude that went down on the field. I mean, you get hit all the time, but this was different. You saw that, right? And them guys was on the field with him when they saw that, right? And so they didn't play the game. So the game got suspended. And so he's been, and so the latest I've heard, I've heard some reports today that when he went to the hospital, they had got a heartbeat and they got him back because I believe he did die on that field. I think they did bring him back. Now, according to his uncle, I think his name is Dorian Glenn. I didn't talk to him, but I heard a report where he was interviewed. He said, yeah, I believe my nephew died twice. I think he died on that field, and I thought they brought him back. And when he first got to the hospital, I believe he died again, and they was able to bring him back. Now, as currently, they've said that because he was on a ventilator, which I have dealt in respiratory before. That's something that helps you breathe. And so he was 100% on the ventilator, meaning he couldn't. The oxygen is going through his lungs, doing the function that the lungs are supposed to do. But then by this morning, it was said that he's 50% on the ventilator, 50%. So some of his vitals are getting close to normal and things of that nature. Okay? They've even had an opportunity to turn him on his stomach. That allows the blood and stuff to settle and not be sitting in one place and stuff like that. That kind of helps with the process and stuff. So gentleman's name is Demar Hamlin from McKees Rock, Pennsylvania. Apparently, it's a suburb of Pittsburgh. He went to University of Pittsburgh. It was a sixth-round pick of the Buffalo Bills back in 2021. He was a reserve player, but due to the injuries to Jordan Poyer and to Micah Hyde, who was out for the season, he got some playing time and become one of their better players. He led second on the team with 93 tackles and 1.5 sacks. But that nobody cares really about that stuff. I'm just giving you information. All we care about is if this gentleman, this young man who's 24, will be able to will get the chance to live his life. He's 24. In my opinion, he's a baby. I got a 22-year-old son, so I know what that feels like. All right. That's a baby to me, you know. So our prayers and our thoughts and everything that we have are hoping and praying that this young man regains his consciousness and is able to live his life. The heck with whether he plays football again. I just want him to be able to do the things that you can do as a human being, to live, get married, have children, live his life, play with your kids, you know, go to your kids' games, do the other things, just be able to live, have fun with your wife, have fun with your parents. His mom who was at the game. And you have to wonder what it felt like for her to watch her son not be motionless. But she rode to the hospital with him, which was a good sign because you would have thought that they would have tried to get him to the hospital quick as possible, but they waited so they could get her so she could ride with him to the hospital. And so that's where we are now. So it got me to thinking, man. Like I said, our thoughts and prayers to the Hamlin family and all those are involved with that. And hats off to the staff there at the Cincinnati Paycor Field for having all the stuff handy to be able to do the things for him so he could get to the hospital. So he has a chance now, So but start me to thinking, they had a defibrillator at the game, and that takes me back to something I remember back in 1990. So your boy Uncle Fred, go back a little bit. I'm a little older than most of y'all probably who watch my videos, right? Um, so I'm thinking back to back in 1990. I'm thinking about an individual named Hank Gathers. Okay. Um, he I'll find my stuff here in a minute. Here we go. Uh, but anyway, Hank Gathers was a guy that played for the um, Loyola Marymount back in the late '80s, early '90s, right? And so he had a certain heart issue, and he fell out in a game against, I think it was UC Santa Barbara, and they said he had an irregular heartbeat. So he came back about 3 games later. Okay, and he played, and then they had a good team, and I used to watch them because they played the kind of basketball I liked. Man, they got up and down. They shot threes. They got up and down, high scoring. I love that kind of basketball, man. That's why that. So they played that, but and him and Bo Kimball was like the best, 1-2 punch in college. And Hank Gathers led the league in scoring 32 points and 13 rebounds a game, scoring and rebounding. But he came back again in the West Coast Conference tournament in the semifinals. He made a little dunk shot, went back to about half court. He kind of bumped into some guys as he's going down there, and he collapsed. I went back and saw the footage there. It was I want to say it was March 14th, I think, 1990. And he passed out. He died, when he got to the hospital. But essentially, he died there on the floor. But what that ended up happening was, if you older as I am, or in your 40s or whatever, you or 30s or 40s, you kind of remember that, whatever. I'm not sure if I watched that game because I watched some of their games, but as a result of that game, I've read that they started putting defibrillators and making sure they had people on staff to do cardiopulmonary resuscitation at these games and events and stuff like that. So you can think that situation with Hank Gathers, God rest his soul, back in 1990, March 14, 1990, for giving us the ability that Demar Hamlin can be saved possibly, because had that defibrillator and they're not being able to administer CPR to him had not been there on hand, and people with knowledge of how to use that stuff, he might have died right there on the field. Okay, so like I said, I go back to Hank Gathers, and I remember that. And I can't find none of my tabs here. But anyhow, the some other good things, and you never saw, and like I said, you thought you looked at that, and you thought you saw a guy die on the field. Okay, that's what you thought you saw, but all right. And like I said, Wikipedia had already, they have since changed, they've altered that. Okay, because you figure somebody's updating that thing as life goes on. Somebody's responsible for that, right? So I don't understand how that thing works, right? I was just looking him up to find out where he went to school, how old he was, where he's from, that sort of thing. Get some history on the guy, And then when I saw that, man, I was stunned. But there actually has been a guy that died on the NFL field, but I never saw it before your boy Uncle Fred's time. Back on October 24th, 1971, a dude named Chuck Hughes, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, uh, making his first catch of the season. Okay, and caught a 32-yard pass, and then later in the game, about a minute left in the game, he went to the sideline and fell out. Turns out he had a heart condition that caused him to have a blood clot in his heart valves, his heart arteries. And the blood clot moved, and it caused him to have a cardiac arrest, and he died right there. I think he was like 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Chuck Hughes, look him up. I think it was number 89, if I'm not mistaken. 1971. Your boy was still in like grade school, so I wasn't barely in first grade then. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't watching football yet, but yeah. But that's the first time. But then we've had some other guys. My mind goes to Reggie Brown. December 22nd, 1997, last game of the season, almost like now. The seasons didn't go over into New Year then like it does now. They moved the season up some, games always started on Labor Day back then, or last week in August or Labor Day. They always, so the season always would end at the end of December or before Christmas. They don't have it going the second week into January like they do now. But I'm digressing. But December 22nd, 1997 is a game against the New York Jets and the Detroit Lions. And a linebacker named Reggie Brown was making a tackle on a running back named Adrian Morrell. And then the offensive lineman for the Jets fell back against Reggie, jamming his neck into his shoulders or somewhat, and he became paralyzed. And he was on the field about 35, 40 minutes, just like, 30 minutes or whatever. I didn't watch the game. I just saw it. Incidentally, it's the same game that Barry Sanders went over the 2,000-yard mark in 1997. He went over the 2,000-yard mark that year. And that got overshadowed because Reggie Brown, career ended on that day. Second-year player out of Texas A&M. He got drafted the year before out of, 96. And it was a good linebacker. And, but he's not paralyzed now. He's got good mobility and stuff now, but his football career ended. I know we know about Shazier about 6 years ago, also on this Cincinnati field. Okay. We know about that. Okay. Also, and see that the league also was coming under fire because they were talking about, hey, you need to go back and play. And I'm like, dude, you see what kind of condition these players are in? But once upon a time, these players had to go back and play. Them guys played after dude fell, and Chuck Hughes after Reggie Brown fell. They they played. They won and played. Now, Hank Gathers, I will say this. Hank Gathers, it ended up they ended up saying he ended up having a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. That's what he ended up having. And what that is a thickening of the heart muscle, making it where the blood can't flow through it, and it fills up with blood or whatnot. And then so that's what causes a regular heartbeat. But they didn't know that at the time. See, and also NBA player Reggie Lewis died of the same thing in 1993. I think it was January 27, 1993, while working out. Okay, he ended up with that same thing. And matter of fact, he was one of the reasons why the Celtics dynasty kind of fell, because he was supposed to take over for Bird, Parrish, and McHale, who retired in 92 and 93 respectively, and Parrish in 94. But he died going into the 1993-94 season. But he died of that same thing. Okay? But in Hank Gather's situation, they did cancel that tournament, which had several games left to play. But the NCAA tournament actually didn't get canceled. As a matter of fact, the Loyola Marymount, I can't remember what their nickname was, but they went on to go all the way to the Elite Eight, losing to the eventual champion UNLV in the Elite Eight. UNLV, ended up winning the whole thing, beating Duke by 30 points in the national championship game. But we've seen. I'm just chronicling sometimes that we've seen tragedies in sports. And here he is right here. It's all on here. So Hank Gathers, Chuck Hughes, Reggie Brown, Reggie Lewis, and a dude named Mike Utley, which happened in 1991. Got paralyzed, but through his arms and different things. He was an offensive lineman for Detroit. Seems like Detroit's involved in a lot of these things, don't it? And so with Mike Utley, he was first one to do the thumbs up when he got carted off the field. And I guess that's what the league was kind of anticipating, the thumbs up, after Demar had regained consciousness. But we know that didn't happen. So the thumbs up is kind of a threefold thing. It was supposed to let the teammates know that, hey, I'm going to be okay. Okay. So also lets the officials know, the game knows, okay, yeah, it's going to be good. The game can go on. But also lets the fans and his family that might be in the audience who needs to be consoled. Yeah, I'm gonna be okay. And maybe the league was anticipating that happening, is why they was like, the game's gonna go on, because the games have always gone on, right? Until January 2nd, 2023. One time it didn't go on. But they was anticipating that, we'll give him some time, and once he goes off and he gives it up, but that didn't happen. He never really gained consciousness. Still has not gained consciousness. So the league's been getting some flack because, how dare you make these guys play after, because you seen the condition of them guys, they weren't gonna play. They couldn't play because they were crying, they were boohooing, they were just distraught. And all of a sudden they're supposed to compartmentalize that thing. Now I know players have done this all along through different traumas. Guys been carted off the field and they don't know if they're gonna ever walk again. You gotta go back and play a game. Steelers had to go back and play the game after Shazier went down. He's still having trouble moving around, but he's getting around. But them guys had to go back and play. But this one time, it was such that no, the game not gonna go on. The game takes a step back to this player in his life, his his health, the concern for his well-being. So the league finally got it right. Now it took them a while. It's about an hour before they like, okay, this game gonna get suspended, because they didn't know. And sometimes people make people kind of feel a certain way, but they had never dealt with that before. So when you never really dealt with something before, you kind of got to give some folks a little bit of space to kind of figure out what the protocol is. So our prayers and our thoughts go with Demar Hamlin and his family, and that he makes a recovery, not to just to play football, but just to have life, man, to do normal human being things, man. We're praying for his family and everybody associated with him. Before we get off of that, and of course now it makes all the other sports topics seem real small in comparison, right? But he started a foundation called Chasing M's, and it was basically just to raise money to give underprivileged kids toys in his McKees Rocks community, and I think in the Buffalo. And I think it was initially supposed to be like to raise $2,400. Now I know a lot of y'all might say, why did he just scratch a check for that money? $2,400. I mean, he's an NFL player. Hey, let me explain something to y'all in case y'all don't know. This dude was a 6th-round pick, which means he probably making, if he's lucky, $1 million a year. Okay. And look, $1 million, and you're a rookie, really ain't $1 million, because you got $1 million and you got taxes, so you're probably only getting about, I don't know, 700,000. Then your agent got to get money. He's got an agent because he was making some reports today, so he getting about 5% of that. Okay. You got to have some place to stay, live. I don't know if he got shoe deals and all this kind of stuff. You got to take care of your family. I'm sure he's not swimming in it. Most times when you drafted that low, you don't make your money until your 3rd or 4th year in the league. You get that second contract. If you've done well, you'll get 25 to 15, $20 million. But he's probably making $1 million a year, and he's probably cutting it on about $300,000-$400,000 after all the stuff, and then you got to live, and that sort of thing, and you got to worry about travel and different things, and it's just different things, man. So, but because of the stuff that happened to him, he had not reached the goal when this happened to him. But do you know? Last I heard, man, his foundation, the 3M's Foundation, has raised nearly $7 million. And it just lets you know how folks are, man. People, a lot of times people give people a bad name because sometimes people do some of the most atrocious, unforgiving things. But sometimes, man, people will surprise you, the heart that they have when they see a need. And so hats off to them folks. And man, who knows, man, your boy Uncle Fred might send that fundraiser a little money, man, because it's a good cause. And sure, everybody that, wants, this young man to get his life back, I would encourage you to probably do the same thing. The 3M's, Chasing M's Foundation for Demar Hamlin. So much love, Demar, man. We praying for you, man. We praying for you to get everything back, man. We've been the good Lord and do it. If anybody do it, he can do it, man. He can do exceedingly above all that we can ask or think. Didn't really get churchy on you, but that's what I believe, right? He can do those things. Okay. So, we're gonna kind of table that for right now. And we're gonna go on and talk about, you know it, the Dallas Cowboys, right? All right, man. And I know that seems kind of trite to talk about that after that, but that's we're just gonna hit a couple things. Well, we know the Cowboys made a move, I think yesterday, and they have waived James Washington, who I've been clamoring to get a chance to see him, number 83, see what he could do. I saw him at Pittsburgh. Remember him from Oklahoma State. He was doing some things, but he never really got an opportunity to do really anything. I think he got targeted one time against Houston, didn't catch the ball, he dropped it, and then I think he got some playing time against the Jaguars, and didn't really do anything. And then, of course, the next week when he's playing the Eagles, he didn't really play, and then they put T.Y. Hilton in. He made the big catch, and so T.Y. kind of took. So really, T.Y. kind of took his thunder, man. And I think T.Y. is going to be our third receiver. I think it's going to be CD, going to be Gallup, and it's going to be T.Y. And I think T.Y. is going to emerge, man, because he's got an experience. And he's got he'll tell you, he's a man. I don't think folks have slept on me. I can still play. I can still get by dudes. You can press on me if you want to. I'm getting by you. Don't think I can't catch. I still can play. And I'm like, okay, T.Y. I still remember T.Y. I still remember that when he's playing for the Colts, man. Catching a pass from Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. I remember him from them. Not Peyton. Andrew Luck wasn't Peyton. I think Peyton had gone by the time because Peyton left after the 2010 season. So no, wouldn't play for them. I think he got drafted in 2013, I think. 2011. 2011, the year after he left. So James Washington. So the reason for that is because they need the roster spot, because they feel like that third receiver spot, T.Y. Hilton's gonna man that. So we really need a fourth receiver. As much as we need backup offensive linemen, I keep going back and telling you, we was playing around back in Tennessee, and we, like I said, that game when you playing against the Tennessee's third and fourth stringers, guy that just got to the team a couple of days ago, and he's playing quarterback, and he made like 20 completions on y'all. You're not playing. You're messing around. You're playing with your food. You're pushing it around on a plate, right? And because of that, here it is going into the fourth quarter. It's a 6-point game. It's 4-point game. It's 17-13. Okay. And you need to keep your starters in the game. And then right as the third quarter went the third to the fourth quarter, Tyler Biadasz, kind of got rolled up on, and he probably shouldn't have even been in the game. That's what I'm talking about. Should have been 27-3. Dak not playing. Most of the offensive line not playing. Most of the defensive line not playing. Micah not playing. Zeke not playing. But she's messing around. Dak lollipopping passes and letting I can't think his name. Bullard catch that interception, and Hendershot throwing passes up in the air so the defenders can pick it off. Kevin Byard, that's his name. And then fumbling this stuff that you don't do when you focused, man. And got Tyler Biadasz hurt. So now he's not going to be able to play, and probably to the playoffs if we're lucky. He got a high ankle sprain. That usually is about a 3-4 week, 5 week, process. And it didn't have to happen, right? So you got to bring in Matt Forniak, who's a guy that really is hoping to play some in the season, but he, they end up putting him back on the practice squad. But we kind of need him now. So that moved everything around. But that whole thing is a domino effect. But because we messed around with our food, and because we wouldn't have brought Matt Forniak back if Tyler Biadasz didn't get hurt. Tyler Biadasz don't get hurt if we're not playing around with them in the fourth quarter, and they should have not even been in the game at that point. So one thing lays the other domino to fall, and now, James Washington gets waived, gets cut, gets sent home, okay? Because you only got a certain amount of roster spots. So when one guy bring up, another guy got to sit down because you only got 53 of them things, right? So you got that going. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see. So now here's the other thing, and we're getting ready to close this video, man. we got a game on Sunday. The NFL was playing with the scheduling because they was thinking about making us play Saturday or play Sunday or let us play the 12 o'clock slide or the 3:25 slide. But but the NFL think they slick because they want to make all the games be competitive. They don't want a team kind of like what happened to us last Thursday, but we played down to the competition and made it a good game for 3 quarters. Most teams ain't doing it, right? So here's the scenario. Here the Cowboys are at 12-4, and we're playing the Washington football team, which they got Carson Wentz back playing now because they've had their field of Tyler Heineke, which he won 3 or 4 straight, but then he's lost. He lost one, tied one, lost 3. I think one, lost one, and lost 3. And so yeah, we playing them, and they moved to the 3:25 slot. Really, the East Coast games usually be at 12 o'clock. Okay. The Eagles and the Giants, who are all 4 NFC East teams, are playing each other, right? That game's at 3:25 also. NFL think they slick. They say, I'll be daggum. You ain't fixing to be playing the Eagles playing the Giants at 12. And we know the Giants are resting their starters because they're 9-6-1. And if they can't improve their position none. They got 9 wins, okay, and they only have 6. They would only have 7 losses, so they would be the number 6 position either way, okay. They know they can't improve their lot, even though Brian Daboll said we're gonna play our guy. We won't play. We competitive. We gonna play. Yeah, whatever. That's why the line is 14 right now, just like ours was last week, right? But they're gonna play Tyrod Taylor and then probably some other thing. I would think Saquon probably. I know he's not gonna start, right? Injured as he is. But the league is like, oh no, you're not gonna be playing that game at 12, and then of course the Eagles be up 35-0 and be and the Cowboys like, well, we ain't gonna play Dak, we ain't gonna play none of these guys, and it end up being a 26-15 Washington win or whatever. And nah, you ain't finna do that. We're gonna put them games at the same time, so y'all have to play, and because there's a couple other games that's got some the end of the season got the cliffhangers because you got the Chargers and not the Chargers, but the Seahawks and the Rams vying with the Seahawks vying for that last playoff spot, but it's 3 teams vying for those last 2 spots because if the Cowboys don't get their top spot, and we'll talk about what the Cowboys are doing, then those spots go to the winner of the Detroit Lions and Green Bay game, which they put at the 7 o'clock slot. But see, the thing is, if the Seahawks beat the Rams, then they've locked up their playoff spot, and Detroit's automatically knocked out. So I think, but even if they win, I still think if they win, they go 8-9, 9-8, they still will get that last spot. I think, and if Green Bay lose, they'd be 8-9, and they'd be 9-8. So whoever wins that game. But what I'm saying is, let's say, for instance, if the Rams win, then both teams. That's what the NFL would like to have. If the Rams would win, and that way both teams are vying. Whoever wins the game, wins it because. But here's the thing: the Cowboys. The Cowboys lose, and let's pull that up here because I got a caption with that. That speaks on that. Here we go, right here. So if we win and the Eagles lose, they don't automatically give us the top spot in the NFC. I don't know why. Because if we win and we go 13-4 and the Eagles lose and they go 13-4, of course we get the win of we get the tiebreaker over the Eagles, right? But why would the 49ers have the tiebreaker over us? Because we got the same conference record. We both got 2 conference losses. I got the 49ers losses right here. They lost to the Bears, the Bears, the Broncos, the Falcons, and the Chiefs. They got 2 conference losses against the Bears and the Falcons. They got 2 outer conference losses to the Broncos and the Chiefs. Like the Cowboys. The Cowboys would have 2 conference losses to the Eagles and the Packers, and have 2 out of conference losses to the Jaguars and to the well, no, that's wrong. You're right. Yeah, your boy Uncle Fred is right. Is wrong. Because I thought we had another out of conference loss. No, we got 3 conference losses because we lost to the Buccaneers. Dang, I forgot about that. That was like a million years ago. Forgot about that. So yeah, so that's why it is. I'm like, because the 49ers got 2 conference losses. We got 3. We got 3. We lost to the Buccaneers, the 49ers, and the Eagles. So if we both go 13-4, they got the better conference record. Here I was thinking we was 2-2 just like them. But nope, we only lost one game out of the conference to the Jaguars. So if we win, but see the 49ers would have to lose, but they playing the Cardinals. Cardinals are starting Chase McSorley. And they beat them 38-10, I think, when Kyler played. 49ers might not play all their players, but I think they'll still win that game. And so we probably have no shot of winning that top spot, which means a bye. Okay. But we love to have that first game be at AT&T Stadium as opposed to getting that number 5 spot and have to go to Tom Brady on the road, man. I don't know, man. I'm just going to try to win. And come on, Giants, man. Come on. And maybe does Jalen play? You see, now if I'm the Eagles, man, you really don't want to play Jalen if you don't have to. But there's 2 reasons you want to play him. You want to play him because if you don't play him, it'll be like a month and some change since the last time he played. And he could be rusty or lose his rhythm and stuff like that. But or you could go with Manshew, go Manshew, went Manshew, miss on Sunday. We threw that pick 6 to my man Gallimore for the Saints. So yeah, so I don't know. So if Jalen plays, I can't see the Eagles losing, but I mean, you can hope. We can't see it, and hopefully the Giants be like, look, man, well, because it's kind of a thing to win 10 games, isn't it? At least it used to be. Chances are we probably gonna be 5 seed. We probably gonna go 13-4. We're probably gonna be the 5 seed. I'm hoping not, because I really don't want to see Tom Brady in the playoffs. Not that I'm scared of him, but it's like that the Cowboys don't seem to have the fire to me, and I hope they get it. But it's a certain thing, and I'm gonna play y'all something. And I'm gonna show y'all something. This is coming from a game. I don't know. I think we may have been playing the Cardinals in 1995. And it was Troy Aikman. And I think this is something I wish Dak would have done last Thursday night to get them boys. But somebody need to do that to him, because he kind of wasn't, But let me let you listen to Troy Aikman. And I found this on Instagram. I'm going to show it to you. And I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to play it.
Hey, Jack, I am tired of being a guy who's got to run down everybody's damn throat all the time. Why don't we have a coach that gets over there and does something about it? Instead, we want to go over and pat everybody on the ass, and they haven't done a job all night. Guys out there off, and nobody says anything about it. We got a head coach who won't say anything about it. We got coaches offensively who won't do anything about it. I mean, enough's enough. I understand. Babysitting's over. Hey, guys, that's a
It's Troy Aikman if you need him. That's my sentiments exactly. Amen, Troy. Because when I see them guys bull-ishing around against Tennessee, that's what somebody should have said. Okay? Troy was not to be, that's why he don't buddy with Jerry Jones. Like, look, there's nobody lighting fires under these dudes like they need to be. And they just kind of lollygagging around. That's what they was doing Thursday. We need more of that. When Jimmy left, Troy said a lot of that, the soul of the Cowboys left. because Jimmy would not have let them do that Thursday night. He'd have been on their butt like that. He was saying, he ain't got coaches, they ain't doing nothing. They patting him on the butt. They're not doing their job. He said, I hate to be the one to have to get in guys' faces. He's running up down the offensive line. Y'all ain't holding y'all blocks. Y'all getting knocked back off the ball. We out there gonna pay attention. That's what he was saying. And see, these are the things that worry me about the Cowboys. You know, I love them to death. But I gotta call a spade, fam. I gotta call a spade a spade. We'll get it there, and guys be missing their assignments, forgetting what defense they in, forgetting what blocking scheme they in, can't rush the passer, be letting guys, getting chipped and then can't get, because you got two guys over here, other guys should be able to get free, and we're not getting pressure, guys not paying attention to their assignments, and then it'll be, we come back next year. No, it ain't gonna be no next year. I mean, it's gonna be a next year, but I'm just saying, I concur everything Troy Aikman said on that right there, because that was back, and I remember those days when the Cowboys were intense. They paid attention to detail. They were scared to make mistakes. They played their assignment seamlessly. That's what I'm hoping. Maybe they'll get that going, and hopefully, like I said, I'd be better if we played at home and get, but if we go to Tampa Bay, man, I don't know, man. Tom Brady's 7-0 against us. He's never lost to us. I know they don't have nowhere near the team now that they had the first of the season. When they had all their players, they had all their offensive line, and Mike Evans wasn't hurt, and then they Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy Bunting, they safeties and corners, weren't hurt, and Shaq Lawson wasn't hurt, and that sort of thing. So Vita Vea been in and out the lineup, So, I know they're a much lesser team now, but Tom Brady plenty smart enough to take advantage of when we make a mistake. So, I don't know. Please leave like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. Let me know your comments and thoughts on that. If you got a comment regarding Demar Hamlin or something like that, man, please leave that, because, I mean, he deserves any of the comments and the love and the prayers that we can all give him. But that's all I got from the desk, Uncle Fred, for our midweek Cowboy report. And then, of course, we talked about Demar Hamlin, man. We still praying for you, bro. Still praying. But that's all I got. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Y'all take care.